It's all for you. Yeah, yo. There whenever it matters, and even more when you feel like it doesn't. Protect you so you never feel like you wasn't. Know I'm right alongside you. Either that or I'm behind you, but always got you. End of discussion, nothing means more. First one to offer is shoulders for what you reach for. Thought I saw the eyes of the world until I seen yours. And know that I ain't see a better view yet. I'm with whatever, so don't ever you fret. Know that you covered, not a hurdle or a heartbreak. A change what a partake, cause none of them won't ever get comfortable in your walkway. My job is to aware you, fully loaded, prepare you for all of the above that I'm never letting get near you. But still in all, give you every advantage I found. Couldn't find a better fit for them, along with my crown. And since the baton was passed, I've been down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
Belief in what, and belief in what they do. So it in a way, it constantly reminds you that with the things that you're doing, for you to trust your instinct and trust your voice and trust what you're doing, So so that, I would say, for me, that's like the most important thing I love about her regarding her visions and her work, and also a constant reminder for me as an artist in the things that I do.
And definitely, bro. And let's talk about the current project that's on YouTube now, The Land of Dry Bones. Where did that premise come from? Where did you when did that moment come to you? Like, you know what? This is my idea, what I want to do film wise. I'm gonna make it happen. And now you made it happen. So talk about that early journey of Land of Dry Bones.
Well, Land of Dry Bones have been a story that have been with me, I would say, since I was 10. Because it started off it was like I was living during this civil war in Sierra Leone, and I looked out my window and saw this child soldier lugging around all these weapons with this like RPG and an AK-47, and it was so heavy that he was dragging the RPG on the ground. And we were about the same age, and he was going down the river to go shoot out Ecomog forces that were coming into the country to kind of push the rebels back. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, I wonder if he's gonna make it that day. And that had just like stuck with me. So over the years, I'm like, I have to tell a story, like what happened to him and what could happen to him. And then that's where it came from. And then I wrote a feature, about him. I'm like, what if he came to the United States and assimilated to life here and not deal with those trauma from the past? And that's where Land of Dry Bones came from. And then I wrote the feature about 2-3 years ago, and trying to get it made. And I was like, let me make a short film that really conveys the film and shows you what it is that I can do with it, what the tone is like, how it's going to look like. And then did fundraising through Kickstarter and got a Panavision grant and used some of my own money. And made the short 2019, and it did the film festival circuit last year. And then I finally just released it online. So in a nutshell, that's the journey of Land of Dry Bones.
So now I have it set up.
Mm-hmm.
My great friend Darrell gave you a little idea behind the origins of it. So I'm gonna give people what they want. I am truly honored and privileged to show this extraordinary film. I saw this film like 3 times. He shared it with the Real Dad Network a couple of days ago. They enjoyed it. So you guys are going to enjoy it now.
Sorry. So you still playing soccer?
Yes.
Good goalie, right?
Yes.
It's a tough job. How you sleep?
Like a lump.
What kind of lump?
That's what I said. But Mom says I sleep like a lump.
Any nightmares? Well, let's go. Let's go. Making any new friends?
Well, nobody's making fun of my accent anymore. I'm friends with this boy named Chester. He's funny. Después calcula.
Emmanuel, the last time we talked, I brought up the past, about how you lost your parents, Sierra Leone, how you came to be here. Do you remember? Do you want to talk about it?
I don't remember.
You don't remember what?
I don't remember what happened.
Just put them on the list. I might go to the store later.
Yeah. So Carla's mom emailed about the soccer tournament tomorrow. She wants me to drop you off an hour early so you guys can practice before the game.
I don't want to play anymore. Our team sucks and I want to quit.
Sweetheart, it isn't that bad, right?
Sorry, you're on your own on this one. Yeah.
Okay, you guys do suck. But you're halfway through the season. You can't quit on your teammates. Come on, try to have some fun, will ya?
I'm not convinced.
I'm not either.
You're not helping. I'll take you to the carnival next week.
For real this time?
Pinky swear.
I still like it when Sarah makes breakfast.
I heard that.
Aww.
I'm not saying I don't like it when you make your pancakes, but that's all you make.
It's all I make.
It really is how you make it.
Wait, I made toast last week.
Burnt toast.
It was brown. It was crispy. It was crispy toast.
Your turn, your turn.
I spy with my big eyes something. Yeah.
Yellow? I don't see anything yellow.
Well, I guess it's technically pink.
Wait, you can't just change it. That's not how you do the gift.
It was yellow, like from afar, and then it turned pink.
You suck at this. My turn, my turn. I spy with my huge eye. Well,
Yeah.
calm down.
Look at me,
Guys, right?
Okay. Keep walking. So what's the hurry, Emmanuel? You think you can just walk around here freely after what you did? You were stealing from the job, Roger. I had no choice. I would have gotten laid off.
Honey, I'm scared.
It's okay, sweetheart. He's there, Roger. You don't have to do this, man. You hear that? Fucker says I don't need to do this. What in front of my daughter, man? Oh. Apologize. Yeah. Yeah, you can go. Hey, go on. Go ahead. Hey, go ahead.
I'm calling the police.
Bitch, you put that fucking thing down!
Now, where were we? Now, what are you gonna do? I think he's gonna.
don't know what happened. I was just trying to protect her. Sweetheart.
You almost killed him.
Woman's name is Mariama Conte. Claims she saw an attack on 7th right there where the grocery store is.
Grocery store?
Yeah. Called in pretty distraught about 45 minutes ago. Said she didn't want to talk to us on the phone, want to talk to us in person.
Anything else come in on this? Victim reports, EMTs, anything?
Nothing. No victims, although she does claim to know the assailant.
Hello? Thanks for coming in. I'm Detective Whitell. This is Detective Kingsley. You have something you want to tell us?
It is him. He is here. I will never forget that face. They burned down my entire village. I remember when he came to my house. He made me watch as he slaughtered my family. The things he did to them. He was the devil himself. You're sure that this is Mr. Anderson? But we're talking about a 10-year-old boy here.
And this is what, 15, 20 years ago?
Yes, I am sure. Even after all these years, you don't forget a face like that.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, thank you for calling me. I'll be sure to, yeah, I will. Okay, thank you so much. I have to go. Bye. I got a call from Detective Whitell. That man is in the ICU.
I heard.
And there's this woman, she's she's talking about all of these things that you did. Horrible things. Are they all true?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't remember much from my childhood. I think some part of me doesn't want to remember.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You could have...
Think I want that past? I don't remember my family. What happened to them? I was just a child, Sarah. You stand over there looking at me with this judgment. I was 8 years old in the middle of war. I don't know what happened to me. It was so terrible. It's better to forget. He's such a sweet boy. I think he's made a lot of progress. But it seems that he's chosen to repress the bad memories, which is not uncommon. You know, some people deal with trauma that way. They box it up and hide it away so that they don't have to think about it. but it can still be affecting them unconsciously. How is he now?
You should see him. He's happy now. He just wants to be a normal kid.
My concern is, what happens when those memories don't stay hidden? Repressed memories can be triggered by any number of identifiers, and they can cause confusion and stress. With your consent, I would like to explore those memories. Studies have shown that unboxing them in a certain environment.
He doesn't want to
He doesn't want to what?
see you anymore.
And we are back. Dude, like I told you, I watched this many times. It's just the reason why I watched it, so many stuff that I didn't pick up when the first time I watched it, the second time I picked up, because there's so many layers to this short film that you need to watch it to kind of understand the significance of every character in the film, because I think each character is has some form of trauma.
Right.
If you take the time to process it,
Mm.
if you talk about the father-daughter relationship, seeing the daughter not processing what her father's doing, even though his goal is to try to protect her, she doesn't see it that way. She just seeing daddy's beating up this dude. And then his girlfriend, what she sees, this is the first time she sees this rage.
Yeah.
And then you add that dynamic of interracial relationship to it too. So it's so many layers to it, man. So can you kind of unravel, like, you seriously, I can have a 5-hour discussion about this film. That's how deep this film is. But can you kind of tell me dynamic? Because I think one of the critical dynamics of the film is the woman who relives her memory at her home, seeing this young kid kill her family. And I think one of the significant parts of that film was towards the end, you saw her hand with that scar. Because some scars you can see, but there's some scars you can't see.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. If you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't see it. But I saw it. That's deep. And then also you paying focus to his bandaged arm, his hand. I think that played a critical, not critical, but that has some form of symbolism to it too. I know I'm talking everywhere, but talk about how your mind process go when you from script to film, and like how those symbolisms, if you don't pay attention to it, plays an important role in the dynamic of a film like that, short film like that.
It's so because I think I mentioned it earlier about the details when observing people. A lot of things are in the details, because I feel like the details a lot of times tell us a lot about a person, especially the things that you're not paying attention to. The little purse that they have, or the way what they have on their keychain. It says a lot about a person at times than just like the general appearances, you know. So for me, I don't know, I noticed those things. And with her and the scar, initially in the feature version, she didn't have an arm. And in doing the short, budget wise, I'm like, okay, we necessarily can have that, and it would take a long time to do that. But I think in communicating the significance of that, her having a scar that can just tell you the story would work. So then that's where the scar came from, you know. And I'm like, at some point the audience will pick up on it or not pick up on it, but if you watch it that's, you know, several times, you would pick up on it. And it would not only, it will give you context that she has gone through something, and she, even though she's moved past it, she does bear those scars, you know. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, finish, bro.
Yeah, no, that was it. And I think details really helps a lot with storytelling, because I mean, in life, like, it's all those little things that kind of tell our stories. Yeah.
Definitely. And then also, can you kind of talk about the legacy of trauma? Because that's, I think, a critical role in the film too. Because again, you had the main character, you know, he had the childhood trauma.
Right.
And I think what hurts our community is we tend to not deal with it head on. We just let it go.
Yeah.
And then next time happens and it triggers us. It becomes a mechanism to reharness those memories, which 9 out of 10, what happens, it affects the people we love.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
So can you touch on that a little bit?
And that's the toughest thing with trauma, is that at the end of the day, it affects us greatly, and also the people around us, you know. And that's why it's always so important to work through those things, you know. And in our film, you know, he's a kid that have experienced like the worst kind of trauma, and his way to move forward is to bury it so deep in his mind he doesn't remember it, which is also a way of dealing with trauma. I believe it's called dissociative amnesia, where it's like you choose to kind of like forget a lot of these like traumatic memories, you know. And in that situation, he didn't know he had that capabilities. And in kind of like aligning it to, say, our normal situation, someone who have gone through, say, someone goes through a bad relationship and they haven't dealt with that and comes to term with that, those things can just come up in the middle of your current situation, you know, whether it manifests as anger, or manifests as being out of control, or manifesting whatever the myriad of ways it can manifest itself. And for him, it manifested in his way in that fight sequence, wherein he become very animalistic in a way to protect his family, and also feeling that rage from them being in that circumstance. He just snapped in that way, you know. And yeah, it's a past that he needs to face, that he himself is not even aware of. And in the future, in the longer version, is him coming to terms with that and being able to face that part of himself. And like, you know, like you pointing out, a lot of the characters, because Mariama also, she has also moved to the US and evolved and lived a different life. And her seeing that just took her right back to that past. And yeah, and it's traumatic for her. You know, she's like shaking and terrified, even though it's been 20 how many years, and technically it was a kid back then that did those things, you know. So it's a movie that has a lot to do with trauma in our past selves, and so like reconciling and coming to terms with that. And I mean, it applies to a lot of different situations in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely a great therapy movie. I think anyone
Yeah.
that dealt with post-traumatic syndrome, any form of depression, I think this is a movie that they definitely should watch, because it kind of, because that's the one thing as people that deal, because I deal with depression, and the one thing is sometimes people need to something to visualize to understand, and it kind of
Yeah.
relates to them, because sometimes you can, you talk to somebody, but if you actually put it into a film, people can kind of
Mm.
digest it a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah. And for me, that's the biggest thing actually with this film is, which I'm seeing, is that people are identifying with a lot of different, I mean, even in ways that I haven't thought of, in different parallels. I mean, the interview with Real Dads, when one of the dads mentioned how that, the war in Sierra Leone applies to living in the hood, and I was like, whoa, I hadn't thought about that. So it's been really exciting to see how the film is like moving people, but also in a way making them reflect on their own pasts, even though the situations is not exactly the same, but there's a lot of parallels when it comes to trauma and dealing of trauma, especially also being Black and dealing with that type of trauma in America. And I feel like it's, even though the story is so different, it's just so applicable. In because in the Black community, we're not as comfortable yet regarding dealing with trauma and mental health. So and I feel like it's allowing people to identify with it and seeing like, oh yeah, recognizing it. That might be a different situation, might be a child soldier, but what I'm dealing with is also trauma in that way. And maybe I can get help, and getting help is something that's possible.
And then also, before we end it, can you kind of talk about it, because I think that's kind of lost in the translation is what happened in Sierra Leone. Can you
Yeah.
kind of talk about that? You had all these kid soldiers, they've been through this trauma, now they're adults, and they're with no help or anything to get over it. Now they're just told, all right, just live your life. Kind of talk about that in a
Yeah. Well, for me, it was the whole country. And it's not just Sierra Leone, it's everywhere where you've had wars and you've had such massive distress. People move on. You have to move on. I mean, that's the reality of it. You collectively have to move on. So what happens is you move on. I mean, I think about the same thing in terms of, like, let me say, Afghanistan, or any of those type of countries. The country is not collectively going through therapy. Like, that's not happening.
No, you're right.
It's I mean, it's sad, but it's like you get used to bombs dropping, like during the war, you get used to seeing half your country burn, you get used to jets flying around and bombing. So it's like, and when that resolves, you're like, great, now you could move forward and continue with your life. So yeah, so I mean, that's what happened with Sierra Leone in a way. It's like everybody had to move forward, and it's just the reality of a lot of unfortunate circumstances. And just sometimes when I think about the resilience of our people and the things that they've been through and continuously persevering, because for me, like, therapy and all this stuff, I really didn't know about it until I came to the US.
Wow.
And it was fascinating, because to me, like, here I was like, oh, people go to therapy for everything.
No,
I was
you're
like, that's crazy. That was like such a shocking thing to me, because I was like, we've been through war, like nobody's going through therapy. It's like people are upset about something, they're in therapy, or people have have bad experiences, they go through therapy. But to me, I was like, we went through a war and no one's ever mentioned therapy.
No.
So yeah, but it goes back to the resilience for me, like the resilience for people, because always moving forward through so much, and in places like that, places that go through wars, a lot of these people just move forward because they really don't have any other choice. So yeah.
Not facts, man. But that's the beauty of your work, man. Your work is very moving, resilient. It's
Yeah.
just awesome, man. So what do you got going on in the future?
I'm laughing because into the future, I'm excited. I'm excited because I have a lot of stories to tell, and I'm writing and trying to get projects made, and I don't know which one is going to take off yet. And I hope with Land of Dry Bones, it finds a home and it gets made. So we'll see, because I've adapted it also as a limited series, which I feel can be a way to really get to dig into the story, and we really get to see these characters in long form. So I hope that gets picked up, and I don't know. I'm just excited. I have a lot of stories to tell, and I hope I have the opportunity to tell it and be able to share that with the world. Yeah.
And I'm excited, and I can't wait. Hopefully, I get the hookup. I can kind of get an exclusive before anybody else.
You get the hookup if you keep talking the way you do.
You need a publicist? But King, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you. I've been wanting to talk to you for the longest time. And I truly privileged this time I talked to you, man. So thank you again. And we are out.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.